V2 PTE Academic. We are providing online PTE coaching and monthly practice test. You can also stay connected with us. Facebook, Instagram and Telegram. For more information visit our WhatsApp on given number. Subscribe our YouTube channel and press the bell icon for more updates.
Telescopes and eyes are both tools for collecting and detecting light. In fact, telescopes can be thought of as bigger, more powerful eyes. The type of lenses and mirrors and their arrangement determine some of the features of the telescope. The resolution of the telescope is a measure of how sharply defined the details of the image can be. The telescope's primary mirror may have a fraction. As a result, starlight is not brought to a focus at the same point, resulting in blurry images. The name telescope covers a wide range of instruments. There are major differences in how astronomers must go about collecting light in different frequency bands. The telescope is widely used in the astronomy field because it is a digital detector, 100 times more efficient than our eyes. Now physicists have begun to develop a various quantum mechanism.
Canada is a country of the enormous natural resources. It is the world's largest exporter of forest products and a top exporter of fish, furs, and wheat. Minerals have played a key role in Canada's transformation into an urban industrial economy. Alberta, British Columbia, Quebec, Saskatchewan, they're the principal mining regions. Ontario and the Northwest, or NWT, and Yukon territories are also significant producers of uranium and potash, the third largest of asbestos, gypsum, and nickel, and the fourth largest of zinc. Oil and gas are exploited in Alberta off the Atlantic coast, and in the Northwest huge additional reserves are thought to exist in the high Arctic. Oil prices making extraction profitable at a growing number of the country's deposit. Canada is also one of the world's top hydroelectricity producers.
For a glimpse of what the US economy might look like in the future, we head to Scandinavia. No country is dropping cash as fast as Sweden. Just 13% of people there reported using cash to buy something last year. But as Maddie Savage reports from Stockholm, some Swedes are concerned that things have changed too quickly.
Next to the cinnamon buns and open sandwiches at this restaurant, there's a large blue sign with the English word cash crossed out. Notes and coins stopped being accepted here a year ago after staff noticed most people were hardly using them.
It was super rare. I'd say 5%, something like that, in the restaurant was using cash.
That's General Manager Christopher Lerb, who's been keeping an eye on how customers have responded.
There's hardly been any reaction. Almost everybody has their alternative payment method, a credit card. And it's good for both the guests and for us.
He says scrapping cash saves time at the till and helps protect against theft.
There are at least 5 hotspots of floating plastic in the global ocean. These are gyres where circulating currents trap debris. This one, the so-called Great Pacific Garbage Patch, is the largest, with almost 80,000 tons distributed over 600,000 square miles. The scientists teamed up with a charity that collects old fishing gear and other litter from the ocean and gathered hundreds of plastic items to study in the lab. They found plants and animals, including anemones, tiny marine bugs, mollusks, and crabs, on 90% of the debris they examined. As well as creating a semi-permanent floating habitat for coastal species in the open ocean, the researchers say all this plastic could be providing invasive species with rafts that allow them to cross the Pacific. This, they say, is yet another unintended consequence of plastic pollution for the ocean.
There's growing alarm over plunging insect populations, with climate change, habitat destruction and pesticides all thought to play a role. But now scientists say there's another culprit: artificial streetlights. Researchers from the charity Butterfly Conservation counted caterpillars at the sides of brightly lit roads. Compared with similar stretches of unlit roads, caterpillar numbers were reduced by half, suggesting streetlights can affect the abundance of insects, at least on a local scale. The scientists say with insects in trouble, we should be doing all we can to reduce negative influences. But there are practical solutions, such as dimming streetlights in the early hours, installing motion sensors, or using colour filters to modify the light.
First, there was the keyboard, then the touchscreen. Some tech companies say a wearable pair of glasses could be the next leap in technology, even if it didn't work out for Google Glass.
In the future, we won't be only limited to our smartphones when it comes to understanding the world around us. So this is our early investment in that future.
The US-based company Snap's investment is this: the Spectacles 3 sunglasses. This third version is smarter than the previous ones. It has 2 cameras. The corner of the glasses lights up when recording video and allows the wearer to put 3D objects in the video. Here are some flowers.
There's a bird, which is really cool.
Users can capture up to a minute of video.
So I spent an hour trying on all these damn jeans, and I walked out of the store, truth, with the best fitting jeans I had ever had. I did better. All this choice made it possible for me to do better. But I felt worse. The reason I felt worse is that with all of these options available, my expectations about how good a pair of jeans should be went up. I had very low I had no particular expectations when they only came in one flavor. When they came in 100 flavors, damn it, one of them should have been perfect. And what I got was good, but it wasn't perfect. And so I compared what I got to what I expected, and what I got was disappointing in comparison to what I expected. Adding options to people's lives can't help but increase the expectations people have about how good those options will be. And what that's going to produce is less satisfaction with results, even when they're good results.
Research suggests that some are more susceptible than others, especially those who are self-conscious, anxious, and afraid of being judged negatively by others. So how can we avoid choking when it really counts? First, it helps to practice under stressful conditions. In a study on expert dart players, researchers found that those who hadn't practiced under stress performed worse when anxious, compared to those who had become accustomed to pressure. Secondly, many performers extol the virtues of a pre-performance routine, whether it's taking a few deep breaths, repeating a cue word, or doing a rhythmic sequence of movements. Studies on golfing, bowling, and water polo find that short rituals can lead to more consistent and accurate performance under
What was interesting and revealing about younger and middle-aged views on old age was how relative these were to the individual's own age. Those in their teens regarded 40 as old, whereas those in their 40s thought 70 or 80 was old. For many, health was seen as a determining factor in deciding who is old, and many young participants commented on how fit and active their grandparents are, while others thought ill health and dependence were an inevitable part of aging. The majority of participants, however, regarded old age as something negative, and many expressed fear of growing old. Lead in time is the amount of time that elapses between a business placing an order with a supplier for more stock or raw materials and the delivery of the goods to the business. Businesses want the lead time to be as short as possible, so that they can meet their customer orders and minimize the time between paying for the stock and receiving the feedback from the customer. However, this may not happen due to a number of factors, such as delays in the supplier receiving the order, or the breakdown of the supplier's lorries delivering the stock to the business.
This is a poem she wrote in Oregon. We used to own a house on the Oregon coast, which is a lot like Tasmania. It's about a blue moon, which is when you have 2 full moons in the course of 1 month, and this is called August moon. One reason I love this poem is that it says something that I don't believe has ever been said before by any poet in any language. This is a poem she wrote in Oregon. We used to own a house on the Oregon coast, which is a lot like Tasmania. It's about a blue moon, which is when you have 2 full moons in the course of 1 month, and this is called August moon. One reason I love this poem is that it says something that I don't believe has ever been said before by any poet in any language.
Well, the federal election is nearly upon us. Time for us all to choose a new government or keep the old one and hopefully eat a sausage along the way. One of the most interesting electorates to watch this time around is that of Tony Abbott's, the seat of Warringah. It's a fierce contest between him and independent candidate, Zali Steggall. But what's really interesting about this contest is not so much the candidates. It's the 2 other players in the game, behind them, who each say they're not campaigning for either Tony or Zali, but for all intents and purposes, they kind of are. And it's here, in one of Australia's wealthiest electorates, that hundreds of people are packed into a church hall to talk about climate change. Well, the federal election is nearly upon us. Time for us all to choose a new government or keep the old one and hopefully eat a sausage along the way. One of the most interesting electorates to watch this time around is that of Tony Abbott's, the seat of Warringah. It's a fierce contest between him and independent candidate, Zali Steggall. But what's really interesting about this contest is not so much the candidates. It's the 2 other players in the game, behind them, who each say they're not campaigning for either Tony or Zali, but for all intents and purposes, they kind of are. And it's here, in one of Australia's wealthiest electorates, that hundreds of people are packed into a church hall to talk about climate change.
Accountancy students need to submit their dissertations this week. In the new project, you have to present the different items. The library is open only on Mondays and Fridays. Be careful when you use English translators.